So we're here at the St. Louis Art Museum in my new exhibition, Currents 120, Jess T. Dugan. And this exhibition is a collection of new photographs made over the past 2 years. It's from a longer-term body of work called Every Breath We Drew, which looks at the intersection of individual identity and the need for intimacy and connection with others. In most of my work, I'm really interested in facilitating a moment between the viewer and the subject that is really intimate. I want my photographs to be large enough that a viewer can walk up to them and interact with a person very closely who they might not know anything about, who might be part of an identity group that they're not familiar with. So I'm really trying to facilitate a meaningful exchange. This work in particular explores themes around identity and gender and sexuality. I'm thinking about gentle masculinity, I'm thinking about queerness, I'm thinking about androgyny, I'm thinking about my own sense of self, my own sense of identity. And so this work is perhaps the most emotional and psychological work I've created thus far. It's the most personal work I've created. So I want people to come into the exhibition and experience the work as they will. I want them to bring themselves to the exhibition and to have meaningful interactions with the people here. And I also want them to think about their own assumptions around issues of identity. Think about how they relate to the people in the photographs and what kind of assumptions they have around issues of identity, in particular gender and sexuality. The elements of color and light are really essential in this work. A lot of the images have a heightened color palette and intense red, intense blue. A lot of them are monochromatic. And I was thinking a lot while making this work about how to use the elements of light and color to create an incredibly charged photograph in terms of its emotion and its psychology. I look a lot at painting and specifically at portrait painting, and I'm very influenced by the history of art and the history of painting. So it's especially exciting for me to have this work here at the St. Louis Art Museum, where it is in close proximity to and in dialogue with other works, both contemporary and historical. So I'm particularly excited to have this work here now.
We're so excited to have opened the exhibition Currents 120 Jess T. Dugan here at the St. Louis Art Museum. This exhibition is part of a long-running collaborative fellowship that we have with the Sam Fox School of Art, Architecture, and Design at Washington University in St. Louis. It is the Henry L. and Natalie E. Freund Fellowship. It's been running for 25 years, and Jess is the first photographer we've had for this fellowship in quite a while.
And the work on display here was all made within the last 2 years and largely focuses on both the St. Louis region as a natural sort of environment and landscape, with the artists working with members of the St. Louis community, often working with sitters over an extended period of time to create works of great sort of emotional intensity.
I have worked primarily in indoor spaces prior to this exhibition, and when the pandemic hit, it actually required me to retool my working methods completely. So many of these images are made outdoors, but still in quiet, secluded environments, and the work to me definitely feels psychological. You know, the self-portraits were a way for me to process my own experiences during the pandemic. They're much more inward than my earlier self-portraits, which tended to project my identity outward. These, I'm often closing my eyes. There's a kind of interiority about my experience during this time. The images of other people, I think, also took on a heightened sense of intimacy and connection and a need for that. And then the still life images were also a way for me to create a kind of intense image that would talk about this experience of isolation and loneliness and disconnection and our need for all of those things. So the combination of those three, I think, adds up to a very personal, poetic, subjective experience of what the last 2 years have been like. This exhibition is on view now through February 20th of 2022, and viewers can find more information on the St. Louis Art Museum's website, slam.org.